Your loved one has been trying to call your name from the other side, and Archangel Michael says you must listen before the message vanishes forever. Something has been stirring around you, quietly, at first an echo, a whisper, a sudden name that crosses your mind when the room is still. It is not imagination. It is not memory. It is a spiritual reach from beyond the veil. This message is not entertainment. This is not a coincidence. This moment is a divine appointment. You were not meant to scroll past this. You were meant to arrive in it because someone who once held your heart on earth has been trying to reach you in the spirit, and now they have asked me to speak on their behalf. There is a soul familiar, radiant, and tethered to your path who has been shouting your name in a language only the heart understands. That voice has been searching for a way to break through the noise, the fear, the distractions, and the pain. And now, by divine intervention, it has reached me. I, Archangel Michael, stand between dimensions to deliver what they could not finish in this world. You have sensed them through dreams that left you in tears, through music that suddenly struck your spirit, through unexplained chills in quiet places. The urgency is rising, and their message is time-sensitive. If it fades now, it may not return again in the same way. Heaven has permitted this opening, this crack in time for their voice to come through, but it is your heart that must be still enough to hear it. This is not just about remembrance. This is about resolution. It's about divine timing. The message from the other side is layered with healing, warnings, and love that cannot be delayed. If you've been feeling watched, visited, or tugged in your dreams, it's because you are. You've been spiritually intercepted. And now, you must listen. The veil is open, the voice is near, the message is ready to declare, I am open to divine remembrance. You're not imagining this. That chill down your spine wasn't the wind. That moment when you felt like someone was standing behind you in a silent room, it wasn't a trick of the senses. That overwhelming urge to speak their name, though they've long left this world, was not madness. It was a summoning. You were being called, not by your mind, not by your grief, but by a soul that has crossed over and is now crying out through the sacred silence, because the heavens have issued a divine permission for their voice to reach yours. And I, Archangel Michael, have come to affirm that their message must be heard. Now, before the doorway between realms closes again. You see, when a soul passes from the physical into the eternal, not all words are silenced. Some echoes keep moving, pulsing like signals in the unseen. When love is unfinished, when warnings were withheld, when destinies are intertwined across time, the spirit will not rest until the message is delivered. And this is that moment. You were summoned to this exact second, drawn by an invisible string of divine intelligence, because time is thinning, the veil is parting, and a sacred truth is rushing toward you like wind in a canyon. What you're hearing now is not information, is activation. You are being interrupted not by man but by eternity. This is not random. This is your divine interception. You have been praying for signs, asking for clarity, pleading in the midnight hours. Just give me one more moment, one more message, one more chance to know they're with me. And heaven heard you. This is the answer. The message you're about to receive is not scripted, it's spiritual. It has been etched into the divine record for this hour. And I, as the appointed protector of thresholds and the guardian of truth, have been commanded to lift the veil so your heart can remember what your soul already knows. There has been a countdown, a sacred clock ticking in the higher realms, waiting for you to be ready, not perfect, but ready. Ready to receive what they couldn't say in their final days. ready to carry the truth they buried in silence, ready to forgive, to release, to finally understand. Your voice has been rising in the spirit, waiting for your yes. And now, by divine orchestration, the sound has reached your timeline. Their whisper is hovering, their light is circling, and I am here to catch it, translate it, and place it directly into your spirit. The pain you felt lately, the strange mood swings, the sudden urge to isolate, the pressure behind your eyes, the memories that return without warning, these are not just symptoms of emotion. They are spiritual contractions, signals that the soul you love has been trying to reach you. Not to haunt you, but to hold you. Not to disturb your peace, but to restore it. The message is sacred, but the window is brief. You were not forgotten. You were not overlooked. You were being prepared. Type "I'm ready to receive" to affirm this truth in your timeline. The window is open. Heaven is watching. Your name has been called. There is something or someone that has been standing between you and the message. This presence didn't wear a mask of darkness. It wore a smile. It disguised itself in concern, in closeness, in timing that seemed too aligned to question. It may have shown up when you were most broken, most vulnerable, most in need of comfort, and instead of guiding you to the light, it quietly became a wall between you and the truth. But today, that veil is being torn. This wasn't confusion, it was calculation. The interruption you've experienced, the static in your spirit, the way your clarity vanished each time you got close to understanding was not random. It was spiritual interference. Not every comforting presence is sent from heaven. And now, as I bring forth the message from the other side, I must first remove the voice that's been distorting the sound. This interference may have looked like a friend, a confidant, even a mentor. But beneath their calm exterior was a quiet jealousy, a need to keep you small, to keep you dependent, to keep you out of alignment with what your spirit knew. Their intentions were cloak and concern, but their energy drained your clarity. They praised your light publicly, but privately sowed doubt into your soul. They questioned your dreams. They made you feel crazy for trusting your intuition. They told you not to speak of the signs you felt. Why? Because the moment you aligned with the truth, they would lose control. This wasn't love. This was limitation dressed as loyalty. And your loved one on the other side has been shouting through the spirit to wake you up. They've been trying to warn you, but every time they drew close, this interference clouded your discernment. The heaviness in your chest after certain conversation, the dreams that ended in sudden darkness, the way you started doubting what you knew deep in your belly, that was all part of the sabotage. But the time for confusion has ended. The exposure has begun. You've asked yourself, why does the peace never last? Why do I feel like I'm close to something holy, but then I collapse again? Beloved, it's because you've been battling more than emotion, you've been battling energy. This isn't just about grief or memory. It's about access. Someone, somewhere, was spiritually feeding off the open wound left by your loss. They wrapped themselves around your sorrow so tightly, you couldn't tell where your pain ended and their influence began. But now, I, Archangel Michael, stand with the sword of truth and with heaven's authority. I cut this tie. It is time for the message to be heard without distortion. The line must be cleared. The frequency must be purified. And you must remember who you are without the interference of their shadow. You weren't wrong. Your instincts were not paranoia. You knew. And now heaven confirms it. The betrayal, though quiet, was precise. But this unveiling is not to punish, it's to liberate. You were not weak for trusting. You were not foolish for loving. You were simply chosen to awaken. And the awakening always begins with the removal of the false. So hear me clearly. You are not bound to their approval. You do not owe them your silence. And you will not carry their energy into your next season. The one who has been calling your name cannot come closer until the counterfeit is removed. And now, that removal begins. Speak this aloud. No more interference. No more distortion. I reclaim my spiritual clarity. The saboteur is revealed. The gate is cleared. You've been seeing the signs. Over and over again, your world has whispered to you in ways that logic couldn't explain. You've woken up at exactly 3:33 a.m. with a racing heart, and no memory of a dream, but the air around you felt thick. All was sacred. You've looked at the clock, only to see 1:11, 2:22, 5:55, and felt a surge inside your spirit like something was trying to get your attention. That wasn't chance. That was confirmation. Every repeated number, every flicker in the light, every time your favorite song played out of nowhere, every broken object, every time a mirror cracked or your phone screen glitched, these were not just events. They were sacred signals. Someone was trying to come through. The spirit world does not speak in paragraphs. It speaks in patterns, in symbols, in sacred nudges. The butterfly that landed near you and didn't leave. The bird that perched and stared directly at your window. The sudden appearance of a black cat, or a white feather, or a moth fluttering around your light at night, all of these were divine messengers. Each one chosen to remind you, they are not gone. They are not far. They are circling, watching, reaching. But the noise of the world has tried to drown out their signals. Until now. Have you felt the pressure behind your eyes, the heat in your hands, the tightness in your chest that rises and falls for no clear reason? That wasn't just emotion. That was your body translating spirit into signal. They've been visiting your dreams. Some nights you remember, others you don't, but you always wake up with a feeling. A lingering sadness, a sudden warmth, a flash of a moment that feels more real than memory. They were there, trying to say the words they never had the chance to speak. Maybe you've seen water in your dreams, waves rising, oceans speaking, rivers running through unknown lands. That was the movement of spirit. Maybe you've seen fire flames without fear, or a candle that would not stay lit. That was the burning of the veil. Maybe doors opened that led to nowhere or slammed without cause. These were all signs of their presence intersecting with your reality. Every time you ignored the chill, the flicker, the whisper, you were trying to protect your mind. But your soul knew better. Your soul has always known. And now, that soul is being asked to remember. Not with the mind, not with the eyes, but with the inward knowing that only the sacred can awaken. You are not alone in this. The signs are not hallucinations. They are heaven's handwriting etched into your life, into your senses, into your days and nights. The ringing in your ears when the room is quiet, that's a frequency change. The rush of emotion when you touch something that once belonged to them, that's a spiritual merge. You are not going crazy. You are going deeper. They have been preparing you with these signs so that when this moment arrived, you would recognize the voice when it called. And now, that voice is almost at your doorstep. You're closer than they've ever been. And I, Archangel Michael, am here to ensure that you no longer miss the message. What was once hidden in shadows is now shining in plain sight. Open your eyes. Open your spirit. The message is for me. Say this with conviction. I see the signs. I honor the signs. I will not miss the message. I am aligned. The unveiling has already begun. You may not have noticed it at first. It began in whispers, in small mistakes, sudden slips, and strange coincidences that felt too aligned to ignore. The one who was draining your clarity, the one whose presence always seemed to fog your mind after being with them, has started to show their true face. The mask is falling. The truth is surfacing. And not because you demanded it, but because heaven decreed it. The interference that has blocked your loved one's message is now being dismantled by divine law. What was hidden must be revealed. What was whispered behind closed doors will soon echo through undeniable moments of truth. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to confront it. You don't need to argue with confusion. All you need to do is watch. The exposure won't come loud, it will come surgical. A forgotten message will be discovered. A dream will replay in detail. A confession will slip from someone's mouth without them even knowing why they said it. These are not accidents. These are heaven's fingerprints. Your only task is to remain aligned. Stay rooted in your spirit. Don't allow distraction to lure you back into the fog. The unmasking will complete itself without your hands interfering. Why? Because divine justice is already moving. The saboteur, whether a person, a pattern, or a presence, is being called out by name in the spirit realm. And once heaven names something, it loses power. That false comfort, that fake peace they offered you, the shallow way they pretended to be a guide while leading you astray, it will not stand. Not under the light that's rising now. Your loved one's voice is pushing forward with such force that anything not anchored in truth must scatter. The time of emotional manipulation, of pretending not to notice what your gut already told you, it is over. The clock has struck. The veil is parting. You will notice them pulling away, not because you change, but because you saw them. And when truth enters the room, falsehood always finds the exit. Let them go. Let the silence settle. Don't chase after explanations or closure. The exposure with the closure. Your peace is not tied to their response. Your clarity is not dependent on their confession. The divine has already ruled, and what God has exposed, man cannot cover again. This is your sacred moment of detachment, not from love, but from illusion. The person who claimed to walk beside you but secretly envied your light, the one who gave you advice that always left you doubting yourself, the presence that grew agitated whenever you felt empowered, this energy is now being dismantled in full view. They will lose access to your energy. They will no longer control the volume of your intuition. The moment of interference is over. So be still. Watch closely. Don't speak more than needed. The truth will walk through the door without your permission. Because when heaven moves, it doesn't ask, it declares. Speak this with sacred finality. Let the mask fall. Let the truth rise. I do not fear exposure, I welcome divine revelation. You have felt the loss deeply, not just the loss of a person, but the loss of momentum, the loss of clarity, the loss of something sacred that you couldn't quite name. It was as if every time you reached out toward your purpose, something pulled you back. As if every time joy knocked at your door, grief answered instead. But today, let me speak this clearly and with heavenly authority. What was delayed was not denied. What was taken was not lost, it was protected. There have been seasons when your prayers felt like they hit a wall, when no matter how hard you tried, relationships failed, plans unraveled, and doors that once opened freely became sealed. You wondered, did I miss something? Did I do something wrong? No, beloved. What you experienced was a divine recalibration. The interference, the false alliance, the hidden energy drain was causing delays in your divine inheritance. Your spirit was fighting battles it could not name, and while you wrestled with confusion, your blessings were placed on pause. Not as punishment, but as preservation. The delay was divine. The enemy could not stop what heaven ordained, but it tried to slow you down long enough to make you forget your power. The false connection that clung to your grief did not just steal your time, it buried your self-trust. It planted seeds of hesitation in moments that should have been bold. It cost you peace. It cost you opportunities. It cost you alignment. And yes, it may have even cost you people who were meant to walk with you had the interference not distorted your discernment. But here is the truth you must remember. What heaven has for you does not expire. And now that the exposure has come, restoration is close behind. Your loved one hath been trying to tell you this all along. They saw the sabotage from the other side. They knew your spirit was being drained. They cried out in the stillness, trying to reach you in the quiet hours. And now, their voice is finally breaking through to say, you are still chosen. You are still covered. You are still worthy of the promise. What was withheld is being returned. What was slowed is about to accelerate. And what was stolen is about to be restored in forms greater than what was taken. But this time, you won't run with the same blind trust. This time, you'll walk with wisdom. This time, your yes will be sacred, your boundaries will be holy, and your joy will not be shared with those who never clap for your soul. You have outgrown the energy that once disguised itself as safe. And now, you are being aligned with what was always meant to be yours, but only after you healed enough to hold it. The waiting wasn't wasted. It trained your spirit. It taught your eyes to see beneath appearances. It stretched your faith beyond convenience. And now, as the interference falls away, the blessings that have been hovering will land. Don't mourn the lost time. Celebrate the preserved path. The divine never forgets a promise. Declare this boldly: I recover what was mine. I redeem what was delayed. What heaven preserved, I now receive. Something is breaking open in your spirit, and this time, you can feel it not just in your thoughts, but in your very bones. This is not another emotional wave. This is a sacred release. The kind that doesn't ask for permission. The kind that arrives like a sudden exhale after years of holding your breath. There's a shift happening right now, not outside of you, but within you. It's the kind of shift that will not announce itself with lightning, but with clarity. A peace so still it almost feels foreign. A breath so deep it shakes something loose in the soul. This is your energetic breakthrough, and it has already begun. Some of you will feel it as tears that come without warning. Some will feel an unexpected calm, as though a war has ended but no one rang the bell. Others will find their voice again. Words will begin flowing that had been locked in the chest for years. You'll look around and realize that the confusion, the self-doubt, the spiritual exhaustion, it's lifting. The fog that clouded your thoughts is burning away in the presence of truth. And what's left behind is you, unapologetic, unbound, unbroken. This is not the return of your old self. No. That version was good, but this one is divine. This one has been through fire and emerged golden. The interference is being dismantled at the energetic root, which means the saboteur may suddenly go silent. They might disappear from your life without a word. Don't chase the silence. Don't mourn the absence. That vanishing is your validation. That silence is your sacred proof. You don't need an apology to close a cycle that heaven has already sealed. Some closures come not with words but with the absence of their influence. Let them go quietly. Let the energetic detachment complete its work. This shift won't be loud, it will be sacred. The loudness came from chaos, from confusion, from codependence. But this is divine alignment. This is where you learn to live in peace, not in pieces. You'll find yourself less reactive, more discerning. You won't need to justify your distance. Your spirit will speak for you. What used to trigger you will now pass through you. What used to haunt you will now lose access to your energy field. And as this happens, the message from your loved one will grow clearer, as if a spiritual radio station is finally tuning in without static. They are near now, watching, smiling, grateful. Because the clutter hath been cleared, the fog has lifted, and the moment they've waited for is finally here. Their words, their wisdom, their unfinished love, it is about to reach you, fully, freely, divinely. Not as a fragment, but as a full transmission. They couldn't come closer while you were tethered to the wrong energy. But now they are arriving. And you will know it not by noise, but by peace. Not by fear, but by freedom. The shift is permanent. The breakthrough is sealed. You will never go back to the spiritual version of you that tolerated sabotage disguised as support. But the uprated version. It walks with archangels. It listens with the soul. And it no longer confuses noise with presence. Type or speak this now. The shift has occurred. The path is cleared. I receive divine peace, not program panic. Just before the final chain breaks, just before the doorway fully opens, there is always a final test. And it may come dressed in the same skin that once wounded you. It may come wrapped in a familiar voice, a comforting memory, a perfectly timed apology. The one who once disrupted your peace may circle back one last time, not to restore, but to re-enter. And this is where your spiritual sight must stay sharp. This is not a new chapter, it's a test. The emotional bait will be carefully crafted. They'll remind you of the good times. They'll echo your old language. They'll tell you they've changed. But you must ask yourself this: if they truly transformed, why does their presence still feel heavy? They will come with peace, but it's poison. Not because they are inherently evil, but because they are not aligned. And alignment matters more than emotion. Heaven is not asking you to hate them. Heaven is asking you to outgrow them. You do not owe anyone another round in your story just because they suddenly realize your worth. If they couldn't honor your light in your wilderness, they don't get access to it in your harvest. This moment right here, this silence, this stillness, this clarity is the reward you've been fighting for. And this final test is not an obstacle. It's an opportunity to prove you're no longer available for spiritual sabotage. Let them reach out. Let them send the text. Let them craft the apology. But let your response be sacred silence. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. You no longer chase closure from people who weren't assigned to carry your healing. If you entertain the old energy, the new revelation will stall. The message from your loved one is on the edge of being delivered, but it cannot share space with confusion. You must hold the line. This is the last hook of emotional nostalgia. The part of you that wants to go back, just to see if maybe this time it will be different. But beloved, they weren't sent back to stay, they were sent back so you could finally release them, completely. The universe always tests your readiness by offering the old path one more time. Your power lies not in resisting it, but in not needing it. If they ghosted you, let them stay gone. If they lied, let their truth reveal itself without your energy. If they return, ask yourself, does this align with my healed self or my old self? Do not let a temporary wave pull you from a permanent shift. This is your moment to anchor, to hold the gate, to protect the sacred space that was carved open through tears, truth, and transformation. And as you pass this test not with drama, but with divine discipline, the spiritual gate behind you will close, and the one ahead will open fully. The voice of your loved one, which hath been circling the veil, will finally land. Vleer. Undistoru. Il. Because you chose you. You chose truth. You chose alignment. And that choice has unlocked the final phase of your liberation. Seal it now by saying, I am not returning to the storm. I am anchored in peace. The test is past. The voice is near. Now it is done. The veil has lifted, the mask has fallen, and the interference had been removed. The message from the other side, long delayed but never lost, is now ready to be received in its fullness. You have endured the silence, survived the sabotage, and stood still in the sacred shift. And because you have not turned back, because you held your alignment even when it trembled, you are now being entrusted with what few are chosen to carry, a divine word from beyond the veil, sealed with the breath of heaven. Your loved one is near, not as a memory, but as a messenger. They come now not with grief, but with grace, not with sorrow, but with clarity. What they could not say before has now found passage. And here is what they want you to know. You were never alone. You were always being watched over. Even in your darkest hours, they stood beside you in spirit, sending signs, sending dreams, hoping you remember your light. And now, because you listened, because you answered the call, because you chose spiritual truth over emotional comfort, their voice has landed. I, Archangel Michael, declare that what was once silenced is now spoken. The spiritual delay has ended. The interference is broken. The soul ties that once distorted your path are now severed by the sword of divine truth. You are free to move forward, fully empowered, divinely guided, and prophetically positioned. No more confusion. No more loops. No more waiting for a permission that was already written into your destiny. This is your restoration season. This is your prophetic return. Repeat after me now. These declarations are not just words, they are activations. I am aligned with heaven's order. I am released from what no longer serves. I am open to divine messages and sacred guidance. I am a receiver of spiritual truth, not emotional illusion. I am ready to live in peace, purpose, and prophetic clarity. The energy is cleared. The cycle is broken. The voice has come through. You are no longer waiting for signs, you are walking in confirmation. What was meant for you is now released to you. What heaven has aligned, no shadow can steal. Walk forward, not as the one who hoped, but as the one who knows. Type Amen and drop your blessing number in the comments if this word confirms what your spirit has already felt. Whether it's 111, 333, 555, 777, whatever number has followed you in this season, claim it now as your signal that the veil has parted and the voice has arrived. You are seen. You are covered. You are chosen.